Hey guys, and welcome back to our World Painter tutorial. This time around, episode 3, I think we're finally going to finish everything up. So, we have our biomes all laid out. I'm going to show you that real fast. There you go. You have your swamplands, your forest biomes, your thick forest biomes, your mountain biomes, all of that fun stuff. And today we're going to just finish up a few very minor details, specifically trees, planting our own trees, our own custom trees, and rivers. First, we're going to start with the rivers. So, I kind of have an interesting take on how to do rivers, and it's rather labor intensive, but in my opinion, it's the best way to get a good looking river. So, for instance, we're going to start. Let's have a lake right here in this area. So I'm going to select a kind of soft custom brush. I don't want anything too intense. I am going to, however, put it up to 100% intensity. And I'm just going to kind of right click and hollow out this little crater area so that we have a lake. That brush isn't working nearly fast enough, so I'm just going to, here we go. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty large lake, honestly. You can see I'm kind of breaking through to level 30 there, so I'm actually going to kind of fill that in. I don't want the lake to be on the same level as the ocean. So, alright, we have our lake. I'm going to see how this flood works. So, alright, yeah, good. Unfortunately, you click too many times and that happens. You end up flooding your entire map. So, that's an issue. I'm going to leave the small islands in the lake because, after all, that is most realistic. So now I'm going to try and flatten a ridge through this kind of flat hillish. So I'm going to use the flatten tool, and I'm going to choose, let's use this brush, it looks the best, and just select alright, lovely. Got the exact level I wanted. Perfect. So, pretty straight, normal sized little river valley we're going to have cut through here. Going to kind of focus on getting that to be pretty flat. And alright, so now we have our very basic entryway, or I suppose exit, for the water. So knowing that, I'm going to go to custom terrain. No, I'm not. I'm going to go to layers, and I'm going to import layers. I have a few layers. I'm going to go over any that I use. So you can see those are all my custom layers. Custom layers, it creates a new tab. Specifically, I'm going to use my river layer. River layer, it's incredibly simple. I use the material of water and a thickness of -2 so that it digs down into the, well, land with a width of 4 and smooth sides. So that will kind of make a more realistic riverbank. And now, if I select just a normal circular brush, no need to get fancy with it, and click with the correct tool, it's going to spray the river. So that's our river right now. It's very straight and very boring and doesn't look very good. So now what I'm going to do is, as it gets closer to, well, the water, I'm going to mark out a path by lowering it. However, I don't want a big steep waterfall randomly going from the height it's at right now, 43, all the way to 30. That, well, isn't a river, that's a waterfall. Which you can certainly use if you wanted a waterfall, I just don't in this instance. So I'm going to, seeing that the height right here is 43, I'm going to choose that I only want to affect land that is above 41. Nope, 41. There we go. So that I can only shrink down to the level 41. I can only lower the land to level 41. Now I'm going to start kind of at our river that we've already, well, created, and then just right click and hold, and you can see right here it flattens out because this level is also at 41, excuse me. So now I'm going to lower it by 1, and it's kind of a tedious process, but I guarantee you it will look good once it's finally finished. Actually, right here, it's just going to be way easier if I have a waterfall. So I'm going to go against what I just said. Just make one just so it's nice and easy. And then just kind of make an inlet here for the ocean. Alright, so we go back to the spray paint tool and we continue to paint our river, but now we only want to affect land that is at exactly this level. And what level is that? Well, it's 41. So we're going to choose to do at or below 41. And I'm actually going to undo all that river that I had already put in because it's not very precise, and I'm going to go back and change it. So let's start with that first. We have a height of 43. Okay, so I only want to affect things that are at a height of 43. Otherwise, the walls here will also turn into water, but at a different height, and that doesn't look very good. So you can see now I have a kind of a wider brush than it's actually applying because it's only applying to a height of 43. Alright, so we get directly to the edge here and there, and then we go down to a height of 41. Now what's this height? 40? Alright. I went a little too far right there. So I'm gonna lower the size of the brush and then just fix my little mistakes right there. There we go. And the height here is 34. That's gonna be quite a drop right there. Make sure that there's actually water for the waterfall. That makes sense. Then the height here is 32, so lower this back to 32. And back up to 34 because we need to, once again, make sure the river connects. And then all the way down to 31 for this last little part. Alright, so that's our first river. And it looks kind of odd being totally straight and then just taking that random curve. So it won't look odd once we have more than just that one river. As of right now, it looks kind of ridiculous. So I want to make a river that is even with this lake and flows kind of around the outside. So I'm thinking of starting something here and having it kind of snake around and then kind of follow the edge of this hill all the way around down to here where it's going to be another lake. So that's pretty simple to do. I'm just going to use the flatten tool and then just carve out. It's going to be a pretty large river I want. So just bring it around out here. Just a lazy river snaking around. Alright, and then you get there. I'm going to make this slightly larger lake. Alright, so back to the paintbrush with the river tool, and we're only going to choose a level 45 or below. Alright, there we go. So we have a little river. Lovely. And cliffs up here are high, so it wouldn't really make sense for a river to come and run off the cliffs. So, not going to have that in the mainland. I'm debating whether it should have another river. I think that's plenty for right now. All main areas right here in this forest have ready access. The cliffside has ready access. Beaches have ready access. Right here, fishing villages, anything I want to build like that has, access to water, so there's really no need to make another river. This mountain one, I'm going to make a river, but only once we get actually on the server and using world edit, I'll do that because that's just too small to warrant uh, all of the very minute amounts of adjustments I would have to make otherwise. All right, so working on this tundra, what I'm planning on doing is having one very basic lake and then kind of multiple rivers and waterfalls going off the sides of this plateau. Tundra? No, plateau. Yeah, plateau. So that's what we're going to work on right now. We are actually going to flatten this out just to make it nice and easy. It's not like it really needs to be flat to do this. I just feel like that'll be easier on my poor little brain. So we're going to flatten it, and what level is it at right now? 129. So we're only going to affect things that are at or below 124. And I need to stop using the number pad because I have that disabled. 124, I said. There we go. Alright, so at or below 124. Oh, whoops. Whoopsie daisy. I needed 124 on that side, at or above. There we go. Now it successfully shrinks to 124. Alright, yeah, that was in the wrong place though. So let's get a custom brush to make it look a little bit more of a realistic, lake. So kind of pushing the boundaries right here on the edge of the plateau, but that's fine. Alright, and now I'm actually going to use this custom brush that I really only ever use for, well, basically this. And if I right click instead of left click, so you can see what I mean, it kind of makes a natural exit for rivers. So I'm just going to make 3 of them basically. And then we're going to go back to our very basic circular brush, shrink it down, and have the rivers very lazily kind of meander towards the side of the cliff. Now, I specifically want this one to go basically down the cliff right next to the beach. And I'll talk about that in a later episode as to why I want it doing that. And this one will go down on the opposite side of the beach, because why not? Okay, so now let's check the flood option, how well this works. Well, I clicked so high that it flooded the entire map. Of course it did, because World Edit doesn't particularly like me. So we're going to be using our river tool, look at the height that we have, 124. So I'm only going to want to affect things that are at 124 or below. Now I'm going to still have to be careful because I don't want to affect the cliffs, of which our water is intended to go off of. So I'm going to have to kind of be careful about that. Oh, you can see here that I did a pretty bad job of smoothing it. So let's just smooth that out. get it all even. Alright, go back to the paintbrush. And there we have it. Nice and fixed. Oop, that was... yeah. Alright, there we go. Got a nice looking lake there. Oh, I also seems to have done a bad job of that. So we're going to do at or above. Going to shrink that down. I was kind of spastic with my mouse there. Don't want that, so alright. And paintbrush. Nope. Paintbrush. Thank you. Lovely. Alright. So, that is the rivers complete for both the mainland and the Elven land, and the swamp has plenty of water, so no need to put a river there. And then, well, I told you I'll be doing this one manually in using World Edit once we get actually on the server and building. So now we're going to deal with custom layer trees, and this is to create custom trees. I'm not going to walk you through this because there is already an amazing YouTube tutorial. I'll link it in an annotation. I'll link it in the description. Check it. Watch the video. It's really good and it totally explains what you need to know. So I'm just going to walk you through my reasoning as to why I want to use these specific layers where I do. Okay, so oak trees, pretty basic, and that's fine with me. Actually, I want very basic oak in the on the human mainland, but I want very low intensity around the beaches. So I'm just going to put it at 1% and kind of paint these lower levels of the mainland with oak. You can see the grass is kind of changing a certain color. Now, I want to talk about something here, which is only on land. Now, obviously only on land, but specifically only on terrain bare grass. I don't want it spawning on the sand. Duh. And I'm also going to choose, well, only on is pretty basic. You know, I don't need to specify not to spawn on water because water is not on bare grass. However, bare grass is underneath the water, so just to make sure that the brush knows exactly what I want from it, I always do say except on water. Now we're gonna brush down this whole side of the mainland, and we're also going to do with the oak, we're also basically going to just kind of put the intensity up to 8%, and we're going to brush this interior kind of around the mountains and around the rivers. Just get that all covered in. Lovely. Alright, and now bushes, just to make it look a bit more realistic, I'm going to put at 1% because I do have bare grass, so if we were to leave it bare, it would look really boring, which is why I really like to put trees and bushes in. So basically going to just be putting that at 1%. Don't want it covering the land, don't want it interfering in any builds or anything, so just going to cover the land at a very low percentage, 1%, and basically everywhere where we had oak. And it's okay if you have a little bit of overlap because, you know, that's realistic. Now, I'm also going to want some small pines at intensity of 1%, just kind of along these cliffs. Because I feel like that would look nice, you know, have, like, on the higher up elevations, have some tall trees. So just 1%, gonna fill in this top portion of the mainland with very basic pines. And also around the mountains. Even a little bit into the swampland. But just give the mountains a nice little coating of it around their bases. Now I'm also going to include oak at 1%, and kind of just kind of random little clicks and splots, and then bushes, very similar, slightly longer clicks and drags, but not everywhere. Alright, so now around the swamp, I want the Mediterranean trees, so that's basically just going to be at 8%. So I'm just gonna click, drag all the way around the whole thing. All right. And now let's do the really easy one of the mountains. I'm going to choose small pines. Actually, no, I don't want small pines. Let's do great pines. Let's try and make it really nice. Now, I don't want these spawning on uh massive like inclines of grass. So I'm going to choose them only to spawn below 45 degrees. That basically drastically limits one, the number of trees that are going to spawn. So I'm going to choose just it really just makes the coasts the only place these trees are going to spawn. And I'm also going to lower the intensity down to 1 just for the landing area there. And now the Elven, we're going to, unsurprisingly, plant these two, Elven Small and Great Elven. Elven Small, I'm going to plant with an intensity of 8%. And Great Elven, intensity of 1%. Because these trees are freaking huge. You'll see what I mean in just a second when I export this whole thing and we can go explore it on my Minecraft server. So let's save because that's rather important. And oh, before we export, there's just one last thing I want to talk about, my tunnels. So this is my tunnel layer. It has, you can just pause the video and copy it down. Um, it's pretty, self-explanatory. I use glowstone and cobble and stone in my ceiling and the same in the walls, and then the floor is stone, cobblestone, gravel slabs. So, nothing special about that. Uh, yeah, well, that that's all there is to it. Nothing special about that. So I'm going to apply that to the mountains because that is, after all, the point of them. Actually, I should undo that and specify only on land and only at or above. Let's do 31. So, well, yeah, let's do 31. All right, there we go. So now I'm going to save that again, and I'm going to export it to my Minecraft save file, and make sure it's in creative, peaceful, Minecraft 1.8, 1.10, excuse me. Do not generate structures, and export everything. So export that, and while that is exporting, you can't really do anything. So you just wait for it. I'm gonna cut to when it is successfully exported and I moved the save onto my server. So see you guys in a little bit. Okay, guys, we are successfully loaded in, and I immediately hit my head on a tree. All right, so this is one of the rivers we were working on. No, this is a lake we were working on. I don't remember where I put the spawn point, but I assume it's on the normal land because that's the main land because that's really the only area that we had lakes. So you can see this river. Water doesn't always correctly obey physics. Obviously, working on such a large scale, there's always going to be some problems and stuff. You can see the water starting to normalize as we work our way down. Waterfall actually looks a lot better than I thought it would. And maybe you guys can hear my guest appearance of gardeners in the background. Anyways, so that's our one river. Looks weirdly blocky from above, but we can always, go through and fix that. And yeah, you see this kind of thick forest. It's a lot more thick than I expected. I may want to go through and tone down the number of trees for the birch forest because that's doesn't offer you a lot of actual building areas. However, over here, as we get closer and closer to the land and the server struggles to properly load everything, you can see there's a bit more building room. Now let's look at these mountains. they actually look rather nice. I'm quite happy with them. Uh, Wait, is that supposed to be where the pass is to get through them? No, this is the pass. Alright, this is the pass. Oh yeah, it looks rather lovely. I'm super happy with this. You can see some of the oak trees, you can see the Mediterranean trees all around. And now let's check out the Dwarven Fortress area because, one, I want to see how the actual caves ended up looking, and I also want to see how the tree generation did, how well it did. I am sort of getting lost here, but I think I'm heading towards Dwarven Fortress HQ. If those are the cliffs, yeah, it should be somewhere like off this way, right? Ah, here we are. Okay, that's a lot more trees than I thought. Yeah, so that didn't quite work out the way I wanted. Or did it? Because that looks kind of cool. Apparently I forgot to specify only spawn on grass right here. You can see a little bit of an issue, but you guys also get to see what I meant by how the biomes change colors. Yeah. All right, so let's dig into here. Let's land so I don't have to struggle to actually break through. And all right, so this is our dwarven area with trees poking through because fuck logic and roots and stuff, but that can always be fixed. It's quite bright, and the sky's not loading in, so it's defaulted to showing sunlight. That's kind of funny. Oh, wait. No, it's supposed to be doing that, apparently. Yeah, fuck it. I don't know. Whatever. So yeah, this actually looks really cool. I'm completely lost as to where I am in terms of the world, so that's also a bonus. Let's see if I can't dig myself out real fast. Oh, I've dug into an ocean. Okay. Okay. So that's the Dwarven area. It looks pretty decent. Looks quite Mount Doom-esque. And now we're going to just quickly fly our way over to the Elven area, and you guys will see what a covered forest looks like, because oh my god, is it going to be covered. This is just the beach, and it's practically impenetrable, so let's fly up here and see that nothing spawned. I have a feeling I know why, and I have a feeling it's because I had a brush modifier on. So it looks like I'm going to have to re-export this world, and I'm just gonna fix a few things. But as I said in the last episode, you're gonna have to load in, look at the map you've created, and then load out and fix a few things before exporting it again. So yeah, I'm going to fix that before I actually start our Let's Build proper. But as for tutorials, congratulations, you've reached the end of my series at the very least. I'm sure there's more you can look up online if you want it. But this has been a tutorial on how to create ultra-realistic Minecraft maps in World Painter. Thank you guys for watching. As always, leave a comment if you guys, 1, were helped, 2, think I need to improve, or 3, want something in the map named after you. If you want this to be the plateau of, I don't know, what's a P name? Peter's Plateau, there we go. If you want it to be Peter's Plateau, or, you know, your username, something like that, leave a comment, let me know. I think it would be pretty awesome to get some. Alright, see you guys later.